There are two types of meditation that you need to fix your entire life. There is concentration-based meditation and there is mindfulness meditation. Concentration-based meditation serves a temporary purpose. The temporary purpose is to give you a taste of what life can be like when you aren't burdened by everything that you're currently struggling with. If you can genuinely learn to focus enough on your breath for 20 minutes and you do that often enough, you will notice that your life will change. Everybody knows this, but there's a second step that you don't know. You can keep going with concentration-based meditation, and you should. It has fantastic benefits, and all of that is science-based. But the second cousin that's often forgotten about is mindfulness meditation. Now, the difference is when you choose something to concentrate on, it often takes you away from your thoughts, it takes you away from your emotions, it takes you towards something like your breathing that's repetitive and grounding and that you can use to stop focusing on your problems. Now, this is healthy and it is healing, but it's not permanent, and that's the problem. So how do we make it permanent? We do that with mindfulness meditation. Mindfulness meditation is about moving towards everything that you run away from. Now, what's the point of that? The point of that is to let go of it. Everything that you hold on to implies that there are things that you resist experiencing. If you're resisting, it means that you aren't willing to feel certain emotions. And if you aren't willing to feel certain emotions, any action that triggers those emotions, you are going to be unwilling to do. If you are unwilling to feel fear, you will be unwilling to do things that require you to experience fear. Most things that are going to improve your life require you to experience fear to some degree and to move towards it instead of away from it. And this is supremely healthy, by the way. Moving towards instead of away from is basically going to be the biggest tool that you can use to improve your mental health. Because the biggest thing that drains your mental health in the first place is the resistance you have. The resistance causes the suffering, not the circumstance itself. This isn't to say that if there's something in your life that you would really like to change, that you should just sit and do nothing. If you can change it, go ahead and change it. It's not to say that outside circumstances don't play any role, but it's to say that to become the kind of person you want to be, all you have to do is learn to roll with the punches and then move towards yourself. I always used to think when I was younger, I would look at other people and how they reacted to situations. And similar things would happen to them that have happened to me. And I always used to think, why can't I react the way they did? I would look at some guy in my high school getting rejected by a girl and just not care. And I was like, if that happened to me, I would look at it and like that would like trigger me super bad, right? But it doesn't for him. He doesn't give a shit. Right? So how is that possible? Like, I want to be like that, but how do I do that? And you start to realize the reason that you're scared of rejection, right, is because it's going to trigger things within yourself that you don't want to feel. As soon as you relinquish that resistance to feeling those things, getting triggered becomes something that you actually seek out rather than running away from. Because you start to realize that the way you get to freedom is by getting triggered more and then staying present with yourself while you experience the emotions. Instead of distracting yourself, instead of taking yourself out of it, you just sit there and you experience what you need to experience. This doesn't mean you need to do it in front of other people if you don't want to. In fact, I would recommend against that because another person adds a level of thinking to what you're experiencing, because now rather than just worrying about how you feel, you also begin to worry about how the other person perceives you and what the implication of this interaction is on your friendship going forward, things like that. It makes it a lot more complicated. So delve into that at some point if you want to, but it's not necessary to heal. Concentration-based meditation is what we're going to start with. As I said at the beginning of the video, the reason for this is because it can change your present experience right now and show you that things can be different, because that's the biggest thing you need. For me, once I had done concentration-based meditations for long enough to experience what people in the spiritual community call a Satori experience, I was no longer looking around for reasons why, because I knew exactly what it was that I was trying to move towards. And you will have the same experience provided that you do the same thing I did. I can't tell you how long it will take, because what determines the results you get is how present you're able to be. And that's going to be determined by a lot of different things, but practice is going to be the biggest one. So right now, if you think of the idea of sitting alone with your mind for any amount of time, and it scares you and it's like terrifying, like it was for me when I first found out about it, that's fantastic. The reason it's fantastic is because that shows, like, that feeling that you're experiencing, right? That's resistance. And being present with resistance dissolves it. That means that like clutching fear that you have of this is going to be terrifying, this is going to be horrible, I don't want to do this, that will dissolve away while you meditate. The way that you can feel in 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes from now, if you were to pause the video and literally just go outside. Being outside is important, by the way. I find it a lot easier to become present when you're outside, so I highly recommend going outside. Find a comfortable position to sit in and spend, I don't even care if it's 2 minutes. It could literally be 2 minutes. Like, if you're super scared right now, pause the video, right? And literally set a timer on your phone for like 30 seconds. I'm being so dead serious. And like, your mind is going to throw a bunch of excuses at you. Like, oh my God, that's so stupid. I don't want to do that. Like, I don't need to do that. But then you'll procrastinate on doing more time because it is actually really scary, right? So just all of that, just kick it to the side for a second and be like, you know what? Let me just see what 30 seconds feels like, right? Pause the video, set your timer for 30 seconds, right? And focus on your breathing. You're immediately going to lose focus and your mind is going to be racing, but that's fine. That's part of the process. Meditation doesn't only work if your mind is quiet. It's the process of allowing yourself to build that muscle of presence, right? Which is what will allow your mind to be quiet, right? So if your mind is all over the place, good. Because as you keep going, that's going to happen less and less. And that's part of the process. So don't be angry at yourself for that. Don't look down on yourself for that. It's just part of how it goes. My recommendation would be to work your way up to at least 20 minutes a day. And if you can handle it, 20 minutes twice a day. Before you go to bed, this will help your sleep a lot, by the way. And then as soon as you wake up in the morning. As soon as you wake up in the morning, drink some water, go outside, meditate. And before you go to bed, do the same thing. Now again, with the time, work your way up slowly. Don't just take 20 minutes immediately, right? For me, I took 3 months to work up to doing 30 minutes. And that was when I was meditating every single day, right? So build up slowly. You don't have to just send it straight away. And you're like, Matthew, I want results now. Why can't I send it? And you can, right? But the problem is, if you choose a difficulty level that's too high for you, you're going to become discouraged and give up. And that's the biggest loss. So as long as you can choose a difficulty level that isn't like too extreme, that you'll just give up and become discouraged and be overwhelmed by fear, then go for it. You're allowed to do 20 minutes right now for your first time if you want to try. But you will realize it's more difficult than you think. I would say that's concentration-based meditation out of the way. Now let's go to mindfulness meditation. Concentration-based meditation is going to help you come into the present moment and leave behind your anxious thoughts, your depression, your situation, everything like that for a while. And that's fantastic. It's very healing, especially if you're in a rough place right now. It's very, very helpful. But once you stop focusing on the present moment, your problems come back. So what do we actually do about the problems themselves? I can't say for sure that I'm correct, but the more that I meditate, the more that I read books about this, I think that just about every single problem that you have can be solved with the willingness to move towards the emotions that you usually avoid rather than away from. And the way that we do that is with mindfulness meditation, specifically guided meditations. Now, I'll give you ways to find guided meditations. I'll even upload a video at some point that teaches you how to make a guided meditation of your own that addresses a specific topic. So there's many ways to do it. You can even listen to sad music as long as you don't think too much while you're doing it. You can just pay attention to the way it makes you feel, not use the lyrics as a way to kind of like turn your thoughts on more and kind of think and think and think, because that doesn't really help. The thing that really helps is feeling what you're feeling, but in your body rather than just in your mind. So the reason that these mindfulness meditations can be so healing is because the thing that creates suffering, in my opinion, is not life itself, but it's the resistance to life. But the resistance to life instead. And the way that we relinquish resistance is by just choosing to move towards ourselves. Now, if you really think about it right now, if you just leave everything behind for a second, like just mentally picture it as if you're sitting in this chair or in your chair or on a bed or whatever, and you take one step forward from where you are, attached and grounded to everything that you think right now and all of your experiences, and step into a void where it's just your consciousness left. It's just the knower rather than the thinker. Step into that for a second and spend a bit of time there. Now, if you don't really understand what I'm saying, that's fine. You don't really need to at this point. But this is just an exercise for me to demonstrate a point. As you step into this space, what you're going to find is that ultimately, nothing that you've ever been through has changed the deepest core of who you are. You are the same as you were when you were 4 years old, as a happy kid, or maybe not a happy kid, I don't know. Before and after the trauma, the you that is still the same. Now, the thing that changes is the way you treat yourself, and the thing that changes is the amount of resistance you have towards certain emotions and experiences, but you at a core don't change. So the point of this is for you to go into that space and then to realize, and just say this to yourself: if I were to just leave everything else behind, if I were to just relax all of my attachments to everything, if I were to just step into this kind of timeless void for a second, what would I feel? And you'll feel a lot. Or you might feel nothing. But if you feel nothing, that's resistance. And that's okay. Resistance has a place, it has a job, so don't judge yourself if you try and do this and you're like, nothing's coming up, I don't get this. That's fine. That's what most of you are going to feel. For some of you though, who sort of understand this off the bat, what's going to happen is you're going to go into this different space, and all of a sudden, a lot of things are going to come up. Sadness, maybe the urge to cry, maybe even your body wants to just shake. All of that is okay, right? But a lot of it will come up because for a second, you've just allowed yourself to be for a minute without having all of these expectations on you, without having this tremendous effort put into not experiencing certain things and experiencing other things instead. Now fundamentally what we want to do is keep moving towards ourselves. And that's the practice of mindfulness meditation. Go into your body and feel what's there. Feel the sensations, and your mind is going to continue to try and bait you into thinking and into analyzing and doing all of that rubbish. Just be with yourself for a second. And the thing is, right now, funnily enough, as I'm saying these words, your mind is going to be going crazy, coming up with so many excuses as to why this is a terrible idea. Matthew, that's not going to solve my problem. See, my problem is that I don't have enough money. My problem is that, I've had my heart broken too many times, and it's not me, it's all these people that I've dated, they ruined my life. They destroyed my confidence, right? And so just notice how your mind is going to do that. It's going to try and pull you out of this moment again, and then use all of these situations that you've been through to get you to think instead of feel. Now, this is resistance. This is literally the entire reason I said that, is for you to just observe what happens in your mind, right? Because it's going to be Because basically what's going to happen is your brain is going to say it can't be that simple. It has to be more complicated. There's this super, super interesting, unique, difficult situation that I'm in that this can't possibly make a difference to. And your mind is chatting. And your mind is talking a bunch of cock, bro. Just notice that. Like, really, I want you to just pay attention to that, right? The solution is to feel, and your mind, which produces thoughts and doesn't like it when you feel, is going to tell you that you shouldn't feel. It's going to tell you, and it's not going to say it outright, because then you would recognize it and sort of let go of it. But it'll use subtle tricks to get to that same result anyway, right? It's like asking a barber if you need a haircut. It's like, what's he going to say? It's like, of course, bro, of course you need a haircut. What's your mind going to say? Of course it can't be that simple, bro. You have to just keep thinking. You have to just delve deeper into this like egoic cycle, right? You have to just continue to think. That's the way out. But you've been thinking for your entire life, and yet you have all of these problems. So why hasn't it worked? And it's because it's not actually the way forward, right? So I'll have different videos that will cover guided meditations in more detail and concentration-based meditations in more detail. But this is the crux of it. Now, you are going to want to search for something that's easier, something that's less challenging, something that's less scary, that will get you the same result. And I promise you that search will take you nowhere. You're going to keep spinning your wheels. You're going to find ways to avoid this. You might watch this video and then ignore what I've said for the next 6 months, trying to look for something different. Because that's what I did. When I first discovered what I'm talking to you about now, I did the same thing. I literally buried it in my mind, in my subconscious for like 6 months, because I was like, this is too scary, this is too difficult. I want to find something easier. You're not going to. The basic yet difficult advice to implement is the fact that the real way forward is to move towards all of the parts of yourself that you reject, that you hate, that you think are useless, are bad, that you've been conditioned to reject. And once you embrace those parts, you can take the action necessary to get the success that you want. Because that's really what it comes down to. If you can take the actions you need to take, you will have the success that you want, right? If you can put the inputs in and you can do it with enough volume, you will get the output eventually, right? It's really that simple. Inputs in, analyze which inputs did the best, try and do that the next time, and then just keep doing that. Keep reiterating, and you'll be successful. So if you want to take action right now, start with concentration-based meditation. And this may take a few months. It'll be quicker and shorter for different people. But get to the point where you're doing 20 minutes a day minimum, and ideally 20 minutes, but twice a day. Once you're in a space where you've experienced what it's like to not have anxiety and depression for the first time probably in your life, except for childhood, what you're going to realize is that you have a lot of free mental energy now. And then what you're going to do with that mental energy is delve into yourself, move towards the emotions that you usually resist. Now, this is going to be difficult and scary, right? But the point of the concentration-based meditation is that it's going to give you the energy to be able to take on difficult and scary things, right? That's the point. So, step by step, get yourself up to 20 minutes twice a day, concentration-based meditation. Then begin delving into mindfulness meditation to move towards all of the scary things that you don't want to face. It's really that simple. Now, go and do that. Love you.